Matt Mercer stops pulling his punches in the latest Critical Role, can D&D ever really replace Perkins and Crawford? And even more bad news for the Wheel of Time fans.
Stop! He's already dead!
Welcome to Fantasy News Friday on the Character Sheet, your home for the week's biggest fantasy and TTRPG news. But before we talk about a brutal new episode of Critical Role and another Wheel of Time setback, why not take a second to hit those like and subscribe buttons to help us keep this channel growing? And then, let's dive into the news.
Holy there's a lot of news.
One of the few common complaints people have with Critical Role is the feeling that Matt Mercer will sometimes pull his punches to allow player characters to survive situations that they probably have no business coming out of alive. But in the latest episode of Age of Umbra, it became clear that that is not the case for this miniseries, or for Daggerheart in general, and that heads are definitely going to roll before the 8-episode run ends.
Yes, Matthew! Yes!
A couple of times in the first half of the show, we saw just how brutal combat can be in Daggerheart, and specifically how deadly and terrifying their death system is. This isn't like the main campaign, where one of the cast players can drop unconscious multiple times in a single fight and then, be up and at it again with a simple cure wound spell. No, Matt chose to use this episode to not only batter the entire party, but to force some of them to contend with the amazing and brutal death system of Daggerheart. The cast found out right away that when they went down, they only had 3 options. Just flat out die, but go out in a blaze of glory with one incredible final action. Survive, but take a permanent scar that lessens the amount of hope you can hold and permanently weakens your character. And then also, if you run out of, your 6 hope slots, you also permanently die. Or just risk it all on a 50-50 roll to see if your hope dice rolls higher than your fear dice to survive. The cast seemed to go all in on this, with Travis demanding last episode that Matt Mercer go for blood, and Matt delivering by forcing both Sam and Ashley to risk it all on a 50-50 roll to keep their characters alive. And the fans and the cast absolutely ate it up. If the first episode showed how fluid combat could be in Daggerheart, the second episode showed how much deadlier it could be than standard D&D, and added some huge stakes to every combat that a lot of fans felt was missing for basically all of Campaign 3 with Bell's Hells. Add in some brutal storytelling and horrifying plot twists that we won't spoil here, and you can see that Matt Mercer has truly entered his villain arc in Age of Umbra, and we're loving every second of it. So at this point the question is, will any of the cast's original characters survive the 8 episodes? We could have lost 2 of them already, so it's gonna be a bloody and wild ride to find out.
I'm gonna risk it all.
Yeah! LEGO has finally revealed the incredibly anticipated new One Piece sets based on the live-action Netflix series. And while they range from Luffy and Buggy Brickheads figures, to small and somewhat underwhelming sets like the Windmill Village set, which clocks in at just under 300 pieces, to the stunning and massive Barity set that has over 10 times that amount, with 3,400 pieces. But they all capture the feel of that Netflix One Piece show. The Barity restaurant looks phenomenal. The Going Merry set really nails a perfect balance of getting the look of the ship just right while keeping the brick count manageable at just under 1,000 pieces. And all the LEGO figures of the Straw Hats and their enemies are full of character and very distinctive and just look amazing. On the downside, the price tag is not cheap, with the Barity set in particular coming in at a whopping $330 MSRP, which is just $160 less than the nearly twice as massive Lord of the Rings Rivendell set, and it's 6,200 pieces. But the quality of this Netflix LEGO set remains amazing, and we imagine that they will be sold out long before they ship out to fans this August 1st.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Dungeons & Dragons and Wizards of the Coast had originally told news outlets that they were going to basically spread around the responsibilities left behind by now former employees Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford among the existing D&D dev team. But just weeks after the 2 men who helped shape modern D&D left the company, that does not appear to be the case anymore. 2 new major leadership jobs in the D&D team were just posted by Wizards of the Coast this week, the head of game ecosystem and principal game designer, which not only highlight how impossibly large the shoes D&D have to fill truly are, but also hint that the brand is going full steam ahead with this new digitally focused future for D&D. The head of game ecosystems will basically create the roadmap for D&D's quote, evolution, both physical and digital, and act as the authority on all things D&D internally and externally. While the principal game designer will basically be the one in charge of making sure all those D&D projects get executed correctly. Both jobs feature constant mentions of things like multiple platforms, scalable content, and platform native features, which is all largely just pointing out how strong the focus on digital content will be for the future of D&D. With video game content and, one would assume given the push from Chris Cox, AI tools heading our way pretty shortly. All the talk about evolving and scaling the D&D brand also shows how the exit of Perkins and Crawford truly was the end of an era for D&D. And whatever Wizards of the Coast has coming next, it will not be business as usual for a D&D brand that has dominated the TTRPG scene for the last several decades. And finally, some more bad news for fans of the now cancelled The Wheel of Time series on Prime Video. According to multiple sources across multiple news outlets, people positioned within Amazon Studios say the company has no plans to shop around the rights for their Wheel of Time series to Netflix or any other streaming platforms now that they've canceled the show. While there are several petitions going around to try and save the Wheel of Time, it appears that those pleas are falling on deaf ears over at Amazon, even with producer and Wheel of Time author Brandon Sanderson saying that the show's fans deserve better, while of course still taking some big backhanded shots at the show itself or ignoring the source material that he helped to write. With Season 3 getting good reviews, it's possible Amazon is simply holding on to the rights to keep making money off of it, as the series' word of mouth spreads and fans and new viewers give the cancelled series a shot. Shows that have been cancelled, especially ones that go out on a high note with critics and viewers like The Wheel of Time did, tend to see a big spike in viewership as new and old fans check it out for the first time or relive their favorite moments before the show goes away. The only hope is that after that initial spike fades in a few months, and Amazon has made some extra millions off the buzz around the show's cancellation, maybe they'll finally be motivated to shop the series to another streamer. But for now at least, it appears that this turning of the wheel has finished with Season 3. And that's all we have this week for Fantasy News Friday. Let us know what your favorite segment was down in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.